Oh, take a drink, my fine wife says, before we do another.
I just want to make sure you're okay there.
Oh, isn't that sweet? Actually, I would be unconscious in a ditch right now in Wisconsin if Anita didn't come with me. And I just can imagine if I was single, the kind of women my cousins would be trying to set me up with. Anyhow, I have a piece from an artist I admire. I was in a show with him at the Kohler Museum in Sheboygan, Art Humor, and he's from Massachusetts. His name is Jeff Fu, and his company is Jeff Fu, and he cans products. So I have a can here of ripe bitterness. They're large, pitted, ripe bitterness. And this is actually worth some money. He almost was a contestant on the first season of the reality show, The Next Great Artist. 442.
I'll take that back.
And she, oh, okay.
Oh, no, not
Oh, did maybe 442 is unconscious.
442. 442? Well, anybody?
Hold it up high.
All right. Okay, and this is the drawing I finished a day before I left. I'm one of these artists, I don't like all kinds of artistic cliches, but the one cliche I do like is working till you drop to the last minute. You know, if you meet an artist that has their show all figured out months in advance, you know you secretly hate him. And I like the tradition of, you know, working up till the last minute and freaking out just because maybe that's what they taught us in art school, and we confuse it for integrity. Anyhow, this piece is kind of my tribute to one of my favorite movies, and that movie would be Idiocracy. It's called The Promised Land. I got a little Springsteenian, and I wanted to do a piece that sort of dealt with the economic downturn. I was going to do a piece called Art All Over the Goddamn Place, and that's a landscape that's going to take longer, so I put that on hold. So essentially, my idea for starting this is I wanted to draw another tree, and I wanted to get the tree real freaky and turn it into a design thing. And so I drew the tree, and then I started looking at folks that I admired, and of course, I've become obsessed lately with Peter Bruegel the Elder because he's just such an astonishingly great artist, and there's so much to get from him. So a lot of Flemish landscapes I was looking at. There's another Wisconsin tree that are just so cool in the winter. There's an artist in New York named Jim Sullivan that's been doing some tree drawings, and I used that for a little bit of inspiration. And I started making a landscape that dealt with the economic downturn. Everything in the landscape I wanted basically to be a dollar store. And then I realized I didn't have enough dollar stores, and I realized I'm showing in Denver. I better put in some IKEA stores. Because, you know, IKEA was the best thing, right? Except now Tebow's back again, so now Tebow's the best thing. I forget. But I remember when I was living here, Krispy Kreme was the best thing for 6 months, remember? It was the only thing on TV. And so a lot of the figures in this are taken from Bruegel's. Like this figure here is a very famous guy drinking out of a big mug while everybody else is harvesting. And so mine's drinking out of a big Dansai mug. And then some of the other characters are from the beekeepers and stuff. And then there's a lot of freaky little animal kind of things that I always love to look at in Bosch and in Bruegel, and they're allegorical things. So all my freaky little creatures are kind of half living things, half technological things, and they're all named after IKEA lines. So all the odd Swedish writing here are actual lines of IKEA products, which makes me think that it might be real fun for us to all collaborate on our own IKEA catalog, which is completely absurd, using IKEA lines. Anyhow, it's called The Promised Land, and here's my influences. Oh, one other influence, the artist Peter Bloom. Halfway through working on it, I was having breakfast, and I said, Anita, I got to look at Peter Bloom. And he's kind of a tacky artist, but he's also, if you've been to the Museum of Modern Art, this painting of his might have stopped you in your tracks. It was called, oh God, I knew I was going to space out on the name of the, anybody know the Peter Bloom painting? Anyhow, it's got a Mussolini, it was painted in the 40s, and has Mussolini coming out of a Jack-in-the-Box, and it's kind of like WPA on acid. And so here's some of his paintings that I also kind of ripped off to look at. Lastly, we went to Taliesin, which is actually near where we live, and I got some Frank Lloyd Wright stuff, and I found a Peter Bloom painting that actually featured falling water. So anyhow, hopefully that gives you a little idea of the way my mind kind of works, and some of the things that went into the art, and I think we could all probably use a little air. I have one other tiny giveaway here. Let's see. More Norwegian stuff. I break for lutefisk, and a lutefisk just eat mo, a refrigerator magnet. You might want to come to my town to do fine shopping for gifts. You can see that we have a bunch of wonderful things.
468?
468. No, we're doing them as a pair.
Okay. 468?
All right. Anyhow.
Well, that's nice. Oh, yeah. I don't think Olivia's.
So let's see, a couple more things in closing. We have that print. I want to thank Modern in Denver for doing an article on me. 6 pages of glossy stuff. You know, I don't know who reads magazines these days, but when you show it to like a relative in Wisconsin, they think you're really cool. It's like, wow, you're in a magazine in a city that's as big as Milwaukee? Wow! Yeah. So I mean, you know, that buys me a little bit of time and a whole bunch of credence. And the drawing I did for that is something we turned into a print. We have an edition of 58, one for each pathetic year I've stepped on this planet. That's the significance of that. And the four of them are four modern art franchises. So it ties into the modernist notion of the thing and also art things. So there's a Mondrian that's based on Die Still in the Bauhaus. There's a Claes Oldenburgers, which is based on the 50s Googie style of modernism that you see in restaurants and retro restaurants. There's a Henry Moore and More Art with Holes, and that's based on Frank Lloyd Wright and the cantilever stone and wood movement. And the last one is Anish K's Industrial Strength Legumes, which is based on the Millennium Beam sculpture in Chicago. And it also features, in a particularly big note of pandering, portions of Ivar's gallery. So we're going to do one last drawing for that. Again, I want to thank Glider Cider for coming here. Make sure you try some of their product. Some friends of mine have started the company here in Denver, and they're available at the Brew House, Motto's, at the Hornet, and a lot of liquor stores. So you might want to try their product because it's from here in town. And I guess we'll do a drawing for a print, and I think I might be out of steam. Any questions? Pardon me?
Anita wants to get a refill.
Anita! Damn.
Pull a number, Anita.
Pull a number. Anita, pull a number.
That sounds like a Steely Dan song. I'm sorry. Hey, if you want to make Anita happy, go up to her and say, "Are you in the arts too?" Well, we're doing a drawing.
Where are the numbers?
I thought you were done.
No, we got to do the things for the print.
All right. Okay.
By the way, the print is available for $250, and I have a sneaking suspicion that a holiday is coming up close. You know, it gets old, like buying your children food and shoes. Buy them a print. Okay.
So.
Okay. 4676.
476? Is that a number?
Is there a 476?
I saw it. I have like this kind of mental number.
Okay.
Who has it?
Okay. We didn't say it was going to be fair.
Hey, right, okay.
Okay, thanks for coming. Denver Art Week is out there. Stick around. I have to talk to Ivar to get that one. And I'm getting sweat on my brow. One other thing. We have a guest room now. We've only had one overnight guest so far, but if you're in the vicinity of Madison or Stoughton, Wisconsin, do get a hold of us. We're starved for company. I haven't talked to anybody about art except Anita for a year.